Oh man, if there's ever been a better arcade game than this one, I've never played it. This is the mind-blowing, heart-melting, bubble-popping Taito classic, Bubble Bobble. Now, Bubble Bobble is a game that...
これはバブルボブルです。
What?
これはバブルボブルです。
What is that? That must be what it's called in Japan.
はい。
Oh yeah, that's cool. That's cool, Kevin. You know what we called it in my house? The raddest fucking game ever made.
ああ、そうですね。
Alright, so maybe it's not on quite the same level as classics like Space Invaders or Donkey Kong or Pac-Man, but Bubble Bobble is an arcade masterpiece in its own right nonetheless. And personally, it's one of my all-time favorites. It's Bob... I'll just... it's Bubble Bobble. Released to arcades in 1986 and then ported to literally hundreds of platforms due to popularity and overwhelming radness, Bubble Bobble is a really clever platform game starring two bubble dragons. Bubble dragons who eat popsicles that fall from the sky. I mean, if you're still not sold on Bubble Bobble, you might want to check your pulse. Bubble Bobble is the, and I quote, fantastic story of Bub and Bob. Their girlfriend bubble dragons have been kidnapped by Baron von Blubba, an evil whale-looking thing, and one of the coolest named villains in gaming history. He's taken the ladies to the Cave of Monsters, which sets Bub and Bob on a long journey through 100 levels full of enemies and beasts and confectionary wonders. To defend themselves against increasingly difficult hordes of monsters, Bub and Bob blow bubbles, which in addition to being useful, is the most brutal thing I've ever heard in my life. Now, these bubbles are extremely durable. In fact, upon contact with a monster, they don't pop, they actually absorb the enemy and float away. And that's when the bubble dragons strike. After trapping an enemy, you have to pop their bubble to actually dispose of them. Otherwise, the bubble will eventually pop, and the free monster, now in a bubble-induced rage, strikes back. Now that core run, jump, and blow bubbles mechanic is expanded upon by a few power-ups. There are magical bubbles that allow you to shoot across the screen when popped. There are certain sweets that increase your bubble's power, as well as a bunch of other items that provide some variation to the game's simple mechanic. Of course, that mechanic is capitalized on by some truly clever level design. Every single stage is laid out differently. There's never a single idea repeated, and each one requires some kind of strategy to most efficiently complete it. In some cases, the enemies fall off a certain ledge in consecutive order, which allows you to trap and pop them all at once. In others, they may bounce through the room at a certain angle, which can be tricky to trap them from. Even stages that, at first glance, seem to simply be in cute shapes or designs usually have some kind of reasoning behind their layout. Combine these effective level designs with the game's simple hook, and you've got a game that's easy to pick up and play, and very hard to put down. You've also got a game that's irresistibly charming. The sprites are just packed with pixelated charm, which works really well with the colorful levels and cute premise. Even now, 25 years since the game's arcade debut, Bubble Bobble is a very pretty game, thanks to an art style that's aged every bit as well as the gameplay. I gotta tell you, I absolutely adore this game. When I was growing up, the NES port of Bubble Bobble was a family favorite. Cousins, parents, siblings, we all loved it, and some of my favorite gaming memories were created on this fantastic journey to the Cave of Monsters with Bub and Bob. It's a classic for a lot of reasons, but most importantly, it's a classic because it's fun.